Here's why you're not booking your dream clients. Today, I'm going to talk through 5 specific reasons why you can't seem to book your dream clients. You're just booking anyone who shows up, anyone who can fill your calendar. You're getting a lot of price shoppers. Maybe you're not booking enough at all. Let's tackle that today, and I can help you solve the problem of why you're not booking your dream clients. I'm Jamie Coast, a former Fortune 500 marketing strategist who picked up a paintbrush and built a multi-6-figure wedding business. Let's get into it. The first reason why you're not booking your dream clients is because you don't think you're good enough. You don't think you're talented enough. You don't think your work is good enough. You don't think you've had enough experience. And I can promise you that's not true. There's, of course, a certain level of expertise that you have to have in order to book those dream clients, those clients that get you press automatically, those clients that want innovative ideas, that trust your taste and vision and view you as the expert and are willing to pay for that because they really value it. They view you as the designer. They're not sending you ChatGBT mock-ups and asking you to just copy it. They're not sending you other people's designs and asking you to just copy it word for word. They're booking for you, for your specific style and your specific vision. Those are the kinds of clients I'm talking about. You are good enough to book those clients, I promise. I personally am not the most talented stationery designer or artist in the industry. I'm not even close to the top. And what's funny is I've talked to some of those folks who what I would consider are delivering outstanding, unbelievable creativity, getting outside the box. They're creating these really, really amazing pieces of work, and they're not making as much money as I am. They're making way less. They are only booking 2 to 3 clients a year. And the reason why is because they're really, really good at the craft, but they're not as good at the marketing aspect of it. On the flip side, if you look at any of the industry wedding pros that you would look up to, the best calligraphers, the best stationery designers, the best wedding planners, the best photographers, it's not because they are the actual best at their craft. There are some wedding pros, I won't name names, who I think actually suck. Like, I don't like their work at all. But they are the ones that are in all of the industry, top of the top, creme de la creme, and are booking the celebrity clients. It has nothing to do with their actual work. It has a lot more to do with how good they are at marketing and how good they are at appealing to their dream clients. 2, you're trying to appeal to everyone instead of one person, instead of the particular dream client that you're looking to attract. And that's a huge marketing mistake. A lot of people make it in marketing. They're too scared. They're too scared to narrow down. They're too scared to stand for something. They're too scared to stand out. And what ends up happening is you end up blending in. And so when you see, for example, black and white wedding photographer with a huge shot at the front, another black and white wedding photography website with a huge shot at the top, another black and white wedding photography website with a huge shot from their portfolio at the top. As a couple, you can't tell the difference between those 3. You are seeing them all as basically the same. You're getting quotes from all 3 of them, and you're just price comparing what you think is apples to apples. Because in your mind as a couple, it's exactly the same. As a photographer, though, what you think you're doing is being elevated and appealing to higher end brides and couples and thinking that this is the way that you have to do it and this is the way that it has to look. And instead of appealing to your dream clients, you're getting price shopped because you are trying to appeal to everyone and the most vanilla, basic, whatever the trend is these days. Instead of developing what your signature style is and developing your brand into something that can attract your dream clients and basing your website and all of your marketing materials on that. You need to really get inside their head. And that's not to say that you can't have a black and white minimalist vibe. You absolutely can. But you need to be a lot more intentional about it and a lot more specific and in-depth on who that target is and who that dream client is that you're appealing to with that kind of website and what sets you apart from all the other websites that look like yours and all the other photographers, designers that look like you. Anti-Bride is someone who does a really good example of this. They have this really chic, cool aesthetic, and they are specifically trying to appeal to the bride who doesn't want to be the millennial bride with the rustic tables and wood and mason jars, right? Who thinks that's sort of icky, like too rustic, too cheap looking, too tacky. They're trying to appeal to the bride who doesn't want the big floofy wedding dress, the big poofy dress, doesn't want bridezilla, doesn't want the say yes to the dress vibes or the for wedding vibes from TLC. They know very specifically that they're talking to a bride who is an anti-bride in the sense that she doesn't want what that traditional bride looks like. She actually wants something that's a little bit cooler, a little bit more casual, a bit more aloof, and sleek dress, sunglasses, black bow in the hair, that kind of aesthetic. And they're really, really good at honing in on that. That is a totally different aesthetic that is a totally different client from who Rock and Roll Bride is trying to attract. And even though they're both in this sort of anti-traditional alternative category, totally different client that they are trying to attract, totally different vibe. They are also very good at this. They're trying to attract the anti-establishment, alternative, rock and roll type bride, and all of their materials reflect that. 3, you're not priced correctly. You're thinking of your pricing in terms of your expenses, your hourly rate, and maybe you're basing your pricing off of others in the market and what they're doing, but you're not thinking very intentionally about the value that your service provides, who your dream clients actually are, and what kind of budgets they have, and who you want to position yourself as in the marketplace. Pricing can be low, mid-market, high, and of course, there's all sorts of levels in between that. But generally, if you have a product that you want to be the Walmart of whatever your category is, then you can apply a Walmart strategy. If you want to be the Target, you can be sort of in the middle and be the Target, although that's the hardest place to be. It's the most competitive, it's where the most people are, and it's where the most weddings are. So naturally, it gets a little bit more competitive to be there. This is why a lot of business coaches are telling you to get into the higher end market, because it's a little bit easier there. It's a little bit easier to do your marketing there. There's fewer people up there competing for the same dollars. They're spending more per wedding, and so you can make more per project. And you're able to do that sort of dreamy, amazing work that you want to do at the high end. I can tell you, as someone who kind of landed on the premium side, wasn't truly in the middle, wasn't truly cheap, and I wasn't truly ultra, ultra high net worth, but I was in the sort of premium, lower luxury level, that your pricing has to be very, very strategic in order to target those dream clients. I did that very intentionally. I did not want to work with the Taylor Swifts of the world, the Selena Gomez's of the world. I did not want to work with the most visible celebrities. I did want to work with people who would trust my vision, who wanted to work with me as a designer, as an artist, and loved my style, and who wanted something that was a little bit not cookie cutter. They wanted it to really reflect their personalities and their love stories. And so my pricing was very intentional in that. Generally, as a stationery designer, you are already in premium or above. It gets really, really hard to market your business if you're trying to go after the low end of the market, if you're trying to be the Walmart, because there are already so many companies that are there that you can't beat their pricing. So Zazzle, for example. Minted is actually considered more premium in terms of pricing, but it is more mass market, so it is something that you should be aiming to be above if you want to actually book clients instead of Minted. You don't want them comparing you to Minted as apples to apples. You want to be above them. The clients who are looking for just the cheapest options, right? They're the ones that are going to Canva. They're the ones that are going to Zazzle. They're the ones that are going to Truly Engaging, right? They're just looking for something cheap. So it's really, really hard to be the person answer, be the one-to-one designer answer to that market, because there's so many options that exist that don't involve human labor. And so your costs just to do the service are already just too high in order to compete with somebody who's selling invitations for 99 cents per. It's really, really difficult. You could do it, but you would have to do it the same way that Zazzle is doing it, the same way that Minted is doing it, the same way that Truly Engaging is doing it. You have to remove the person part of it and the physical labor part of it. So that's my rant about stationery in particular. But a broader example of this is I used to work on a really high-end water brand back in the day when I did social media for Fortune 500 clients. I won't mention what the name is, but they were a very premium water brand, and their entire strategy was to be the highest priced. So that's very intentional, to look at the entire market, see what everybody's pricing their water at, and say, whatever the highest price is, we're going to be above that. And we always want to stay above that price. So we were always viewed as the most premium option, the most luxurious option. And that is a scary thing to do, right? It's not appealing to everyone. It is appealing to a very specific person who just wants the most expensive. Now, you might not be sure what that actually means. Who would want to just spend the most on something? Here's what was interesting about that. They ended up attracting a lot of clients who, in the Middle East or in other areas and cultures where you don't drink alcohol, wanted to buy something as a host or hostess gift, right? They were going to a dinner party and they wanted to bring something along to show their appreciation. And so instead of bringing a $500 bottle of wine, a $100 bottle of wine, a $50 bottle of wine, whatever that was, depending on how luxurious they were, they would instead buy the most expensive bottle of water that they could bring. It was still viewed as fancy, it was still viewed as a nice gift, and it was something that showed your appreciation because you were spending more on the water for that party as a gift, and you were still bringing something to share with the group. So that's a specific example. Another one is they were really good at working with different hospitality groups. So restaurants, hotels, things like that wanted to make sure they were luxury and wanted to appeal to the clients that they had. So again, by buying the most expensive version and either selling that to them or providing it to them, that's helping with their positioning as the most premium as well, because they're buying the most expensive. So perfect example of how to be the most expensive. Most people end up being somewhere else, right? But you can make an entire career out of being the most expensive wedding photographer, and that will automatically give the perception that you're the best, even if you're not. Now, that takes a lot of work and that takes a lot of intentionality in your marketing to reach those people. And for the most part, you might not even have heard of a lot of those people because they're doing more discreet one-to-one marketing instead of marketing to the masses. They're known in those circles. They're not known in everyday circles. And they might not even be wanting to get featured in press because they want to remain discreet, exclusive, the highest price option, the hardest to get option, to specifically appeal to those clients. 4 is you're not showing up where your dream clients are. So we just started to touch on this a little bit. So this is a nice segue. Or you're just not showing up at all. But let's talk about how you're probably just not showing up exactly where your dream clients are. So if you think that your dream clients are on Instagram, or they're searching for vendors on Google, or they're looking on TikTok, then maybe that's the place to be. That's usually a mid to premium or even like a cheaper market. If you wanted to target the ultra high net worth, the celebrities, the famous, the rich and famous, you're showing up on Instagram and you're showing up on TikTok and that's where you're focusing most of your marketing efforts, you're not going to reach the dream clients that you want to reach. The perfect example of that is Taylor Swift. She recently had her wedding and worked with a very exclusive wedding planner who also did Jack Antonoff's wedding, who also did other celebrity weddings that she has known about. She was referred that person by close friends of hers. And she has actually said in her Eras Tour documentary, that's how she hired her choreographer as well. She wanted a choreographer. She thought, who's the best choreographer? I'm not sure. I'm going to call up my friend Emma Stone. And she literally says this in the documentary that she called up Emma Stone and asked her, hey, who's the best choreographer that you've ever worked with? And Emma Stone said Mandy Moore, who's a well-known Hollywood choreographer. So she hired Mandy Moore to do the choreography and the dance routines for her Eras Tour. Perfect example. She wasn't going on Google. She wasn't searching on Instagram, best choreographer. She's asking her other ultra high net worth celebrity friends who they've worked with in the past. So same thing with her planner. Then from there, these types of clients who are working with a planner, those planners have their own relationships. They know their florists. They know who their photographers are that they recommend. They know the venues they recommend. They know the DJs and musicians that they recommend. They know the stationery designers that they recommend and to make favors and things like that. So the only way to get in with those ultra high net worth clients is to become someone that a planner refers and is to get in with a planner. And so maybe planners are on Instagram and you're trying to appeal directly to planners there. Most likely you're going to have to reach out to them directly and come up with a curated list of exactly who you want to reach out to that aligns with your brand, that aligns with your dream clients, and explain to them how you're aligned, how you both target the same dream clients, and why they should recommend you, and add value to that. I have an entire video on reaching out to planners and whether it still works, and I've actually just released a freebie that I'll link to below. You can go check this out. It's my personal list of over 400 planners and venues that I have used to reach out to for my business, and I work with a lot of them to this day. It's an excellent list. It's the kind of list that you send one email and you make $3,000, you make $10,000. That's how I've used it in the past. So definitely check out the video where I talk about how to use the list, and then also check out below. If you're listening to this on the podcast, it'll be in the show notes. If you're watching this on YouTube, it'll be right below in the description, and just take a look at that list because it's seriously gold and I'm giving it away for free. Our last one is you're not giving anything enough time to work or enough effort to work. I've touched on this in some other of my past videos. A lot of you are flitting from platform to platform. You think that, oh, well, this one's not quite working. I'll try this new one. You're seeing all of the business coaches in the wedding industry talk about how Pinterest is the thing. Then they talk about how TikTok is the thing. Then they talk about how ads are the thing. And you're just taking their $2,000 courses and you're flitting from thing to thing. And you're not really being intentional about, are my dream clients on this platform? And intentional about doubling down on that platform. So you're just doing a circle and ending up in a content and education hamster wheel instead of really focusing on one platform. This is what I did in my business. I focused on one platform until I was making $100,000 on that platform before I added another. And honestly, as I'm learning more and becoming a more experienced business owner, I wish I had stayed on one platform until I was making $1 million on that platform before moving to another platform, because it really is possible to make all of your money from one platform. I, however, did it intentionally where after I made 6 figures on one platform, I then moved over and added more platforms until I made 6 figures on that platform, and then I would add a third. And the reason for that is because I wanted it to be a little bit more well diversified. This is my full-time income, and I didn't want Etsy arbitrarily or Instagram arbitrarily kicking me off and then losing my entire business overnight. So I purposefully broke my own rule a little bit in order to have a more well-diversified business that for me just felt a little bit more conservative at the time. However, I still focused on one at a time until I was at the $100,000 mark before adding another one. So that is something I recommend for you as well, that you really double down on the platform. What that looks like for Instagram, for example, you should be posting 3 times a day. You should be posting multiple trial reels per day. You should be posting stories every day. You should be engaging with people who either can refer you business or that you want to work with on the platform. You should be really creating content specifically for that platform. That's what it looks like to double down on Instagram. It's more work per platform, but it's actually less work overall because you're not jumping from thing to thing and you're not giving it a half effort, you're giving it your full attention. And that's how you can grow there. If you're interested in learning more about how you can book your dream clients, not just any client, I'm launching a new program at the end of the month. It's launching August 1st. I'll link to that below as well. You can join us there and learn a lot more about how to book your dream clients and how to book tons and tons of them and all the different marketing steps that you need to do. Totally optional, but if you're interested in learning more about this, that's where it's happening.